The James Webb Space Telescope had barely begun its mission, had hardly opened its eyes when something truly extraordinary unfolded in the vast region between Mars and Jupiter. This immense zone, known as the asteroid belt, is a place thick with ancient rocks and cosmic remnants, leftovers from the earliest days of our solar system. It's typically seen as a stable region, a quiet graveyard of the solar past. Occasionally, a rogue asteroid is nudged from its position by gravitational forces, wandering across space in unpredictable arcs, but what was recently observed streaking through this ancient region was something that defied categorization. It was not a rock, it wasn't an icy comet either. It was something altogether unfamiliar, something that shimmered, pulsed, and moved with an eerie, almost intentional motion. The James Webb Space Telescope, stationed nearly 1,000,000 miles from Earth at the second Lagrange point, had been surveying a segment of the asteroid belt as part of its broader mission to study the chemical composition of the early solar system. During what should have been a routine imaging session, Webb's near-infrared camera NIRCam detected a faint, highly unusual object. This object wasn't cataloged in any existing database. It didn't appear in any near-Earth object registries. Its trajectory was alien, unmatched by any known comet or asteroid. It moved fast, far faster than any natural object typically observed in that region. And unlike standard celestial bodies, which reflect sunlight, this thing glowed. It emitted a deep, unsettling luminescence. Wrapped in what appeared to be a metallic sheen, the object's spectral signature hinted at materials not commonly found in nature, certainly not in space. Its motion was another anomaly. It didn't tumble or wobble, as debris usually does when flung into space. Instead, it moved in a smooth arc, controlled, deliberate. At one point, it accelerated, then decelerated. Just as it neared a denser part of the belt, it weaved between rocks and clusters with a grace that seemed to defy the randomness of natural motion. Webb's instruments followed the object as it slipped through the belt's inner edge and passed near the orbit of Vesta, one of the largest bodies in that region. Then it did something no asteroid or comet had ever done. It stopped. For several minutes, the object hovered silently in space. It rotated, but not in a chaotic spin. It moved in a slow, steady roll, as though surveying its surroundings. Earth-based telescopes scrambled to redirect their gaze, but none could match the clarity and detail of Webb's high-resolution instruments. Still, the consensus was immediate. This wasn't a natural object. Infrared scans revealed high internal temperatures, much too high for a frozen comet or even a metallic asteroid. Even more astonishing, some sensors picked up structured energy pulses. These weren't random emissions. They formed patterns, not perfectly regular, but rhythmic enough to attract immediate attention from scientists across multiple fields. The radiation bore harmonics, layers of nested frequencies. Not unlike musical tones, the object seemed to be communicating, or at the very least, emitting something designed. As the object resumed its journey, it shifted course, veering closer to Mars' orbital path. Then, unexpectedly, it climbed. It began rising out of the plane of the ecliptic, the flat, disk-like zone in which most planets orbit the Sun. Such a path would require enormous energy if the object wasn't merely drifting. The conclusion grew increasingly difficult to avoid. This thing was under its own propulsion. At that point, speculation reached a fever pitch. Was it an undiscovered type of comet, covered in rare reflective materials? A fragment of a forgotten, ancient probe? Or could it be something more, something not of this Earth? Webb, not originally designed to track fast-moving objects, was pushed to its engineering limits. Mission control teams manually recalibrated its tracking systems to follow the anomaly for as long as possible. As the observations continued, the mystery deepened. Webb's near-infrared spectrometer detected surface compounds inconsistent with natural formation, some resembling synthetic polymers, others emitting signals in the microwave spectrum, far beyond expected thermal profiles. For rocks or metals, the object wasn't made of any one material. It seemed layered, complex, Some materials exhibited structural signatures unlike anything produced by geological processes. By the time the object reached the outer edge of the asteroid belt, it had traveled nearly 1,000,000 kilometers in just a few days. It never slowed as it passed through the boundary. Instead, it shifted angle again and plunged deeper into space, this time a course that would take it above the orbital plane of Saturn. Eventually, Webb lost the object due to its changing position and limitations in the telescope's angle of view, but not before it witnessed one last, chilling detail. A burst of light emerged from the rear of the object. It was faint but unmistakable. And yet, it didn't resemble any known propulsion system. There were no thermal plumes, no visible fuel emissions, no particle dispersion. It was an emission of pure, focused energy. Something humanity's spacecraft cannot yet replicate. The scientific community reeled. This event wasn't just a curiosity, it was a direct challenge to our assumptions about the predictability of our solar system. The asteroid belt, long thought to be well mapped and understood, had just hosted something unknown. Something that evaded all detection until it was already in deep space. This raised an urgent and unsettling question. How many other such objects might have passed by unseen? If this object could maneuver, pause in mid-space, and adjust its trajectory with precision, it suggested a level of control that, if not artificial, bordered on intelligent behavior. It wasn't simply an anomaly. In an orbit charted was a crack in the foundation of what we believed was possible. Scientists scoured old telescope data, combed through archival records of deep space missions, hoping to catch even a trace of this phenomenon or others like it that may have been overlooked. What made the object's behavior even more peculiar was its lack of a tail or debris trail. Comets, when nearing the inner solar system, usually emit gas and dust, forming long, luminous tails. This object didn't. It remained sealed, contained, its surface unmod. It glided through space with purpose, never veering from its carefully calculated arc. Even as it wove between dense clusters of asteroid fragments, its changes in velocity defied gravitational logic. It sped up as though internally powered, not flung by planetary slingshots. Scientists in propulsion physics reviewed the data repeatedly. One pattern refused to fade. The radiation pulses emitted by the object had depth, structure, multi-frequency layers, as if they were embedded with information. This was not noise. It had tone, resonance. Some wondered if it was a signal. If so, who or what was it for? No known comet, asteroid, or meteorite had ever displayed such coordinated movement or layered composition. The James Webb Space Telescope had captured something that didn't belong in any known category. It wasn't like Oumuamua, the interstellar visitor detected in 2017, which tumbled erratically and lacked a clear source of propulsion. This object didn't tumble. It didn't coast. It didn't rely on sunlight to move. It flew. Theories emerged. Was it a probe? Perhaps not one of ours, but an observer, an autonomous scout from another origin. Maybe from another star system, maybe even beyond. Though speculative, the theory found traction because the alternative was harder to explain. The silence, the precision, the propulsion signature. It all hinted at design. If it was a probe, then perhaps its mission wasn't to interact. It hadn't landed, it hadn't transmitted any clear message. It didn't disrupt anything in its path. It simply passed through, watched, gathered, and moved on. The asteroid belt, long quiet and predictable, had just become the quarter for something that may have come from elsewhere. Something that slipped by silently, like a thought made manifest, and yet it had been seen. The James Webb Space Telescope caught it all. This moment, this brief, shimmering passage was a rupture in our understanding. It was the soft brush of the unknown across the face of the known. It may take years, even decades, to fully process what Webb captured. Every pulse, every spectral anomaly, every calculated turn will be scrutinized with unprecedented detail. Researchers from across disciplines, astronomy, material science, propulsion engineering, signal processing, will dissect every frame of data. Even biologists and philosophers may weigh in. contemplating what it was sensing, what it was looking for, and why it left so quietly. The event cast no shadow of danger, but instead a long echo of implication. It suggested we may not be as alone or as observant as we once thought. It didn't knock. It didn't announce itself. It didn't stay, but it passed. It saw us and it left. If it has come once, it may come again, and what else, we now must ask, has already crossed this path while our eyes were turned elsewhere. This wasn't just a journey through the asteroid belt. It was a crossing of thresholds, scientific, technological, even existential. The solar system, once believed to be so well known, revealed a wrinkle in its design. A shimmer in the dark, a silver glint moving too fast, glowing from within, pulsing. With meaning, the James Webb Space Telescope now returned to its broader mission of peering into ancient galaxies and birthing stars, carries the echo of that moment. It saw something, and now, so have we.